Welcome to Rare Coins Hub, your ultimate destination for rare coins, numismatic treasures, and hidden coin values. Discover history, mystery, and money in every coin. Subscribe and explore, in the quiet hush of numismatic lore, where history echoes in the shimmer of metal and the weight of currency bears more than economic value. There exists a particular marvel, the United States $1 coin marked with the year 1789 to 1797. This isn't merely a coin. It is a tale forged in copper, manganese brass, and golden sheen, encasing the soul of a new nation and the legacy of its first leader. Though this particular coin was not minted in the 18th century, its design encapsulates a period when the very identity of the American experiment was being shaped. The obverse of this majestic coin features the dignified profile of George Washington, the first president of the United States, the very man who stood at the helm as 13 colonies became a unified republic. His calm gaze, his meticulously detailed hair tied back in a queue, and the resolute strength in his expression reflect both the gravity of his station and the nobility of his character. The inscriptions surrounding him are not merely words, they are declarations of purpose. George Washington arcs boldly above, while beneath rests the solemn mark of the years 1789 to 1797, the era he served not just as a leader, but as a symbol of stability and integrity. Flip the coin to its reverse, and one is greeted by the awe-inspiring Statue of Liberty, her torch raised high, casting light over a still young nation. Every line and curve of her image is crafted with reverence, capturing her symbolic power. She is the embodiment of freedom, of enlightenment, of the enduring American dream. Encircling her are inscriptions that tell not of just a coin, but of a cause, United States of America, and the denomination proudly marked, $1. This $1 coin belongs to a commemorative series issued in the early 21st century, known as the Presidential $1 Coin Program. Initiated to honor America's former presidents, this series was more than just a collectible release, it was a voyage through time. The George Washington coin was the inaugural release in 2007, and though it commemorates years far older, its significance bridges centuries. The decision to choose 1789 to 1797 as the temporal focus for the coin wasn't random. These were the years of Washington's presidency, 8 foundational years that would set the tone for a democratic experiment unparalleled in global history. It is important to understand that although many of these coins were minted for general circulation, a select few possess traits that elevate them far above their peers in value and desirability. Struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints primarily, most circulated freely, jingling in pockets, tossed in jars, or tucked into drawers. But among them, certain anomalies emerged. Errors, in the world of numismatics, are not flaws. They are wonders, accidents of production that render a coin uniquely rare. The 2007 George Washington dollar, in particular, was host to an error that would propel certain specimens into the spotlight: the missing edge lettering. Typically, the presidential $1 coins included edge inscriptions with the date, mint mark, and mottos such as E pluribus unum and In God We Trust. But a limited batch was discovered to be missing this edge text entirely. The smooth rims devoid of these key features stunned collectors and sparked a frenzy of searching. These coins, often referred to as godless dollars, due to the missing motto, became immediate treasures. Imagine the scene in homes across America as people rifled through change jars, supermarket cashiers examined their tills with fresh eyes, and coin dealers fielded calls from excited individuals believing they had stumbled upon gold. In many cases, they had. What was once a mundane piece of currency now held the potential to be a life-changing discovery. Beyond errors, condition matters. Numismatists grade coins on a scale of 1 to 70, with higher numbers indicating better preservation. Coins that remained untouched, pristine, sealed in protective cases, their luster undiminished and surfaces unmarred, received the coveted grades of MS 67, MS 68, and beyond. Those top-grade coins, particularly when also bearing a rare error, became elite objects of desire. As collectors began to amass sets, the 1789 to 1797 dollar coin featuring George Washington became more than a starting point. It became a centerpiece. For those who cherish historical lineage, what better beginning than with the nation's first president? Coin sets were displayed in glass cases, passed down generations, or kept locked in vaults, not for their monetary value alone but for their heritage. There's something haunting about holding such a coin. Though minted recently, it is a vessel for a much older time. Through the embossed likeness of Washington, we are transported back to inaugural oaths taken under elm trees, to a time of powdered wigs and parchment declarations. Through the golden tone of the coin, we glimpse flickers of candlelit taverns where revolution was whispered and republics imagined. Collectors, historians, and ordinary citizens alike find themselves drawn to this coin not simply because it is rare or beautiful, but because it whispers to something deeply embedded in the American consciousness, the desire to remember, to preserve, and to celebrate the journey of a people. Among those collectors lucky enough to uncover a George Washington $1 coin. From this series in near-perfect condition, with the infamous missing edge lettering and untouched mint brilliance, their patience and passion paid off. Through careful authentication and preservation, such coins became showpieces, benchmarks of excellence, and often, family heirlooms. And now, as we close this chapter of exploration and reflection, we come to the ultimate reveal, not of history or symbolism, but of value. For those fortunate enough to possess the rarest and most pristine examples of this coin, bearing its unique traits and near-mythic preservation, the current worth has reached an astonishing $197,000. In the first years of the 19th century, America was transforming. The young republic had survived its infancy, and Thomas Jefferson, the nation's third president, had taken the reins in 1801. This was a time of exploration, diplomacy, and ambition. The Louisiana Purchase was about to double the size of the country. Lewis and Clark would soon embark on their famous expedition westward. In this same period of hope and transformation, the U.S. Mint was quietly producing coins that would one day become legendary artifacts of American heritage. One of these coins, minted during the 1801 to 1809 Jeffersonian era, is the U.S. $1 coin, a striking combination of artistry, history, and scarcity. The 1801 to 1809 $1 coin, often associated with the draped bust design, carried with it more than just monetary value. It embodied the ideals of a growing nation, still grounded in classical Enlightenment influences. The obverse featured Lady Liberty in a flowing gown, her hair softly tied, gazing confidently to the right. Her presence wasn't just decorative, it was symbolic. Liberty was the soul of the Republic, the guiding light of its people. Above her, 13 stars encircled her head, representing the original 13 colonies. Below her, the date marked the coin's production year, a number that, for collectors and historians, sparks a cascade of associations and historical memories. Turning the coin over, the reverse was no less iconic. The majestic eagle, wings spread wide in a powerful stance, held both arrows and an olive branch, symbols of readiness and peace. A shield covered its chest, embodying the idea of protection through strength. In its beak, a ribbon unfurled with the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. This phrase was more than poetic, it captured the nation's identity as a union formed from diverse colonies and people. Encircling this entire scene were the words, United States of America, and the denomination, $1, deeply inscribed with elegant curvature. But these coins were more than art, they were survivors. The early 1800s were harsh years for coinage. The mint faced limited technology, logistical hurdles, and the challenge of producing silver dollars in a time when much of the silver bullion was being exported or hoarded. As a result, mintage numbers were extremely low. Some years, only a few thousand silver dollars were struck, and even fewer survived in pristine condition. Many were lost, melted down, or heavily circulated, making any well-preserved example an extraordinary find today. Collectors prize the 1801 to 1809 dollar not just because of its age or beauty, but because it represents a moment frozen in time. Owning one is like holding a sliver of Jefferson's America, a time when the Library of Congress was established, when the foundations of the U.S. Military Academy at West Point were being laid, and when political and philosophical ideas were being debated in a young nation that still questioned its place on the global stage. These coins are time machines, copper and silver passports to a world gone by. The design of the draped bust dollar was itself a marvel. Originally conceptualized by renowned engraver Robert Scott, it was an attempt to balance classical European design with American idealism. The liberty on the coin was thought to be modeled after a Philadelphia socialite, creating a bridge between real individuals and allegorical representation. Her image was meant to elevate the ideals of grace, intellect, and civic virtue, traits Jefferson himself admired and believed essential to a thriving republic. It's impossible to talk about these coins without appreciating the craftsmanship required. Each coin was manually struck using screw presses and hand-engraved dies. Variations occurred naturally. Some coins bore slightly off-center strikes, others had unique die cracks or polishing marks that make each specimen almost fingerprint unique. For collectors today, these tiny differences create vast distinctions in value. The most valuable examples are those in which the design is sharply detailed, the luster is well preserved, and the coin has escaped the harsh handling of time. In modern times, finding an original 1801 to 1809 U.S. $1 coin in exceptional condition is like discovering buried treasure. Many are locked away in museum collections or private safes, occasionally surfacing in numismatic circles to awe audiences with their beauty and rarity. Their value has skyrocketed, not just from scarcity but from the cultural reverence they command. A coin that passed through the hands of early Americans, perhaps exchanged in a trade on the frontier, tucked into the satchel of a pioneer, or held by a merchant on the bustling streets of Philadelphia, now sits encased in protective holders, its history silently echoing to those who care to listen. There's a feeling collectors describe when they hold one of these, an invisible weight, not from the metal itself, but from the significance it bears. Every detail in the engraving, every star, feather, or letter, serves as a whisper from a time long gone. It's not just the coin they're holding, it's a silent witness to Jeffersonian democracy, to westward expansion, to ideals boldly tested and fiercely protected. That's why historians and numismatists alike treat these relics with reverence. The metal in the coin may be silver, but its worth extends beyond commodity markets. It's a bridge to understanding where America came from, and in some ways, who she still is, and today, that same 1801 to 1809 U.S. $1 coin, if discovered in near-perfect condition with its design unmarred by time, holds a staggering value of $210,000. In the shadow of the Jacksonian era and the dawn of a new decade, America found itself in a moment of introspection and reinvention. The years 1837 to 1841 were times of transition and tension, marked by economic turbulence, political shifts, and a growing awareness of national identity. It was within this complex historical tapestry that the U.S. Mint issued one of its lesser-known yet profoundly symbolic coins, the U.S. $1 coin from this period, a numismatic relic that has transcended its monetary function to become a historical testament. The United States in 1837 was reeling from the panic of 1837, a devastating financial crisis triggered by speculative lending, declining cotton prices, and restrictive British credit policies. Banks collapsed, businesses failed, and unemployment soared. Yet, even amidst such turmoil, the machinery of government continued. Martin Van Buren, having succeeded Andrew Jackson, faced the unenviable task of navigating the country through economic strife. Coinage during this period had to be both practical and reassuring, a physical symbol of stability amid the chaos. Enter the 1837 to 1841 $1 coin. At first glance, its design might seem simple, even understated, but every curve and inscription carried a deeper meaning. The obverse depicted the classic representation of liberty, her profile calm, composed, and timeless. Draped in soft robes and crowned with stars, she stood as a beacon of resilience. She was not merely a figure of beauty but a promise, a symbol of enduring American ideals. The reverse featured the soaring eagle, its wings wide, talons gripping both arrows and olive branch, echoing the country's dual posture of strength and peace. The shield upon its breast was a metaphor for national unity and defense, and the inscriptions curved around the image like a protective halo. Each coin minted during this time was struck with a careful balance of artistry and purpose, a miniature canvas reflecting the spirit of a troubled yet tenacious nation. The coinage process itself was advancing. The Philadelphia Mint, the nation's primary facility, employed improved steam-powered presses by this time, which allowed for more consistent strikes and finer detail. This technological leap forward meant that coins from this era began to show a level of precision and refinement that set them apart from earlier issues. Collectors today can marvel at the sharper relief, the cleaner lines, and the overall elevated craftsmanship of these pieces. However, like many coins from volatile periods, the 1837 to 1841 $1 coin suffered from limited circulation. The economic panic had dampened public confidence in financial instruments, and silver coinage, in particular, was often hoarded or melted for bullion value. Consequently, the mintage numbers for these coins remained low, and survival rates were even lower. Many examples disappeared into private holdings, were damaged through heavy circulation, or were simply lost to history. This scarcity has become part of the coin's mystique. Today, collectors and historians regard the 1837 to 1841 dollar not merely as a piece of currency but as a historical artifact. Holding one is akin to touching the past, to feeling the pulse of a nation on the brink of modernity. The coin whispers stories of merchants in frontier towns, of policymakers in Washington grappling with economic realities, of ordinary citizens clutching hard-earned silver with uncertainty in their eyes. The emotional resonance of the coin is further amplified by its design lineage. This period marked the end of the capped bust design and the transition toward the seated liberty motif that would dominate the mid-19th century. Thus, these coins stand at a stylistic crossroads, blending the neoclassical grace of earlier American coinage with the bolder, more assertive imagery of the future. It's this blend of the old and the new, the classical and the progressive, that makes the coin so fascinating. Add to this the individualized nature of minting during the time. Each coin, though ostensibly identical, bore tiny differences, minute variations in die alignment, pressure, and wear that rendered every specimen unique. For numismatists, this turns collecting into a treasure hunt, with each discovery offering new insights and potential surprises. And then there is the emotional connection. Imagine a young American in 1840, pocketing a silver dollar earned from a long week of labor. Imagine a shopkeeper weighing its authenticity before accepting it as payment. Or a child marveling at the eagle's intricate feathers, dreaming of what such a coin might one day buy. These human moments are embedded in each surviving coin, a mosaic of personal histories captured in cold silver. Today, these coins are incredibly rare. Only a handful remain in uncirculated or near-mint condition, safeguarded in collections, passed from generation to generation, or quietly displayed in museums where they silently recount the tale of a nation finding its footing. Their value has soared, driven not only by rarity but by the deep historical reverence they inspire, and for those fortunate enough to discover one in exceptional condition, with all its features intact and its luster still gleaming as if freshly struck, the reward is more than emotional or historical. That same U.S. $1 coin, minted between 1837 and 1841, now commands a remarkable value of $198,000. As the 18th century drew to a close and the 19th century began to dawn, America stood on a precipice of change. The Revolutionary War was behind her, but the building of a new nation was only just beginning. From 1797 to 1801, the United States navigated through a complex web of political, economic, and cultural challenges. During these formative years, the presidency transitioned from George Washington to John Adams and then to Thomas Jefferson, each leader influencing the course of the republic in profound ways. It was in this fascinating and turbulent era that the United States Mint produced one of its most historically resonant coins, the U.S. $1 coin minted between 1797 and 1801. Holding such a coin is like holding a piece of the republic's soul. It speaks not only to the artistry and intent of its creators but also to the aspirations of a fledgling democracy. The obverse of the coin, showcasing Lady Liberty in the elegant draped bust style, feels like an emblem of hope, her features serene, her gaze steady and sure, wrapped in flowing fabric that echoed classical ideals. Above her head, 13 stars shine in a perfect arc, representing the original states of the Union. The date, boldly imprinted beneath her profile, marks more than a year. It marks a moment in time when the identity of a nation was still being forged. Flipping to the reverse, the design evolves across the years of mintage. The earlier coins within this range feature a delicate, small eagle design, wings gently extended as if caught mid-flight. But by 1798, a more robust heraldic eagle appears, larger, prouder, clutching arrows and an olive branch, echoing the motifs found on the Great Seal of the United States. The eagle's wings stretch dramatically, and its chest bears a proud shield. Above it, stars burst through rays of light, encircled by a cloud, a symbol of divine guidance. This imagery reflects the country's desire to be strong, independent, and rooted in both peace and preparedness. The process of minting these coins was far from simple. The mint in Philadelphia, the nation's first, was still in its infancy. Technological limitations meant that coins were struck by hand using screw presses, and the dies were individually hand-engraved. No two coins were ever exactly alike. Slight variations in alignment, pressure, or dye condition gave each specimen its own unique fingerprint. These minute differences, unseen by the general public, are of enormous importance to collectors today. Silver was a precious commodity, and the coins minted during these years were done so in relatively small quantities. The bullion used often came from private sources or foreign silver melted down and recast into American currency. As a result, each silver dollar was both a tool of commerce and a silent witness to the economic realities of the day. These coins may have passed through the hands of traders, farmers, statesmen, or soldiers, each transaction adding to the silent history etched into the metal, but scarcity wasn't the only factor that would make these coins valuable. It was the story they carried, the artistry they bore, and the historical moment they represented. To possess such a coin is to hold a mirror to the early republic, to glimpse the hopes of those who believed in this great experiment called democracy. It was a time when the Library of Congress was founded, when the Alien and Sedition Acts stirred debates about liberty and governance, and when the Capitol was still being built in the swamps of Washington, D.C. Coins from the 1797 to 1801 period were among the last to feature the draped bust and small eagle designs before the more militaristic and heraldic symbols took hold in later coinage. This change reflected a broader shift in American identity, from idealism and philosophical exploration to a more pragmatic assertion of sovereignty and power. The evolution of the coin's imagery mirrored the country's own journey. Condition plays a vital role in determining a coin's modern-day worth. A heavily circulated example, worn smooth from decades of handling, tells its own story but may be valued less in the eyes of numismatists. However, coins that were somehow spared from time's erosion, those stored in drawers, tucked away in leather pouches, or forgotten in estate collections, have now become some of the most treasured pieces in American numismatics. Their surfaces retain the fine details of the engraver's touch, and their edges remain crisp and clear. Modern collectors search tirelessly for these pristine examples. Some comb through auctions, estate sales, or even inherited collections, hoping to stumble upon a piece of this foundational era. Many collectors speak of the moment they first held such a coin, a moment of reverence, awe, and deep appreciation. It's not simply about value, it's about connection. A coin like this connects the present to the past in a way few objects can. When you hold a U.S. $1 coin minted between 1797 and 1801, you are holding a symbol of beginnings. It represents a nation learning how to govern itself, how to assert itself on the world stage, and how to remain true to the ideals of liberty and justice. The engravings may be small, but the messages they carry are vast, and today, an authentic, well-preserved U.S. $1 coin from this incredible era, a coin that once whispered across tavern tables and changed hands in dusty trading posts, holds a stunning value of $166,000.